guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Saturday morning, which means it's time for another edition of the Weekend Workshop. And this week, I've got an incredible one for you. It is the top 10 must-have generator accessories that I keep on hand. Alright guys, real quick before we dive into this top 10 list, if you're new here and you want to know more about me, go by toolmantim.co, that's toolmantim.co, and you'll find all my social media links there, MeWe, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Instagram, all of that. It's all there. Check me out, friend me over there. I'd love to interact. And if you're looking for a recommended product or a solution to a problem you have, go by toolmantim.shop. I got a whole list of Amazon links of products that meet the Toolman Tim seal of approval, stuff that's made me money or saved me money in my handyman business. And if you've got a problem like, hey, I got paint on the wall or on vinyl siding and I need to remove it, or I got to hang a picture and I can't drill a hole, what do you use? All that stuff is there. All right, guys, so this is a fun one this week. I always love top 10 lists. Always have a good time putting them together. And you guys know I'm big into emergency preparedness. I love my generators. And I thought, what better list to give you than the top 10 accessories I keep on hand to make life with a generator just a little bit better. Where do we start? Number 1. And like I said, you guys watched some of my other generator videos in the past. Beyond having a good generator and a proper storage of fuel, the number 3 most important thing to have on hand, of course, is a heavy-duty extension cord, preferably with a lighted end. These ones here are the ProGlow brand that I get at a local farm store, very similar to the Yellow Jacket, which I also use. These are 25 footers that I bought last winter on clearance, and they just have a single outlet on the end. But the best part about these are 14.3. You can get a 12.3 as well if you really need to go longer, but 14 is pretty much good enough for most stuff you're going to be running. But stay away from the junky 16.2, 16.3 extension cords that you're going to see on your shelf at Walmart. They heat up, they wear out, they're not safe to run on long distances, all of that. But a good all-weather, stays flexible in -40 because that's important out here on the prairies. And the most important part is having a lighted up end on that. If you don't have those, you can find adapters for them, but honestly, not most, but a lot of the all-weather extension cords have it. That way, well, number one, you know if you've got power there, you're going to save yourself time, you're going to save yourself frustration, you're going to save yourself troubleshooting. But when you run this cord all the way to the house and you look back and it's sleeting and snowing and freezing rain all at once, and you need to know whether if you plug something in it's going to work or not, you want to know if it's your cord, if it's unplugged, if you've got power coming to it, the whole works. And that is the way to know. Have an all-weather, stays flexible, hot, cold, all the way around with a lighted end extension cord. That's your number 1. Now, number 2, that one, of course, only has a single end on it, but that single end tells you if it has power. I love these little beasts here. They're small, compact, heavy duty, and you can't trip over them quite as easy as a power bar. But my number 2 must-have item on the list is a 3-way grounded heavy-duty power splitter. And I was in Home Depot not long ago, and they had these on clearance for 75 cents or $1 a piece. I bought half of a 5-gallon bucket full, everything they had. These are great to have. These will last me. I got more than they'll last me my entire life, even if I give a bunch away to all my kids. So once you get it into the house and you want to plug things into it, you can run smaller extension cords, or if you're close enough that you can run a few different items to it, you got to split that power off. And what better way than to use one of these little 3-way power splitters? It's a great accessory to have. They're inexpensive, and you never realize you need them until you're in the house and you're thinking, what am I going to plug in? My TV or my modem or the coffee maker or the microwave or whatever. You need to be able to split that power off so that you don't have to run 17 different extension cords. And this is one simple, easy way to do that. Number 3, and this is more of a ahead of time type thing, but if you know the amount of power that your generator can use, then you need to go around and figure out what you can run at one time. And a kilowatt usage meter is the way to do it. And you just go around your house, plug this in, leave it plugged into your fridge for a while, leave it plugged into your freezer for a while, and it'll tell you your running watts, and it'll more importantly tell you your peak watts. And then you know, okay, well, maybe I can run this or that. And you can have a plan ahead of time. You're going to know. I mean, this is great for saving you money because you find out where some really high drain devices are, but it's also really good at getting you set up for a power outage. And you go around, you figure out, okay, that lamp, that TV, that modem, that, you know, if you just have a small little inverter generator, you know, that you would normally take camping, you got to be really careful with how much stuff you can run on it, and this will let you know. Or maybe it'll tell you how much your sump pump. Can you run your sump pump in your freezer, or can you run your furnace and your fridge, or can you run one burner on your stove, whatever. Well, you can't plug this into a stove because it's only good for 110 stuff, but you get the idea. Go around, figure out the draw of all your items, your peak, and your running, and then you can figure out what you can run at one time safely on your generator without tripping the breakers, without having a bad day, without having to go back outside in that nasty, rainy, watery mess more than you have to hit that breaker on the generator because you tripped it because I thought for sure that I could run my blow dryer and my microwave and my toaster oven and my Instapot all at once, and then it turned out you couldn't because, you know, I use a blow dryer a lot. All right, number 4. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, but this is Seafoam Fuel Stabilizer. And this is the cat's ass, quite literally. But it is good for 2 things, really. Number 1, obviously stabilizing fuel. Because if you're going to be storing fuel on hand, having it, well, because a generator without fuel is, well, something I guess you could trade or look at or take pretty pictures with, but it's not going to turn the power on when the power's out if you don't have fuel. And if you've got fuel and it wasn't stabilized and it went bad, you're going to have a bad day. So number 1, put this in all your fuel so that it lasts longer. But number 2, this is the most incredible engine cleaner out there that I found. I love this stuff. Every time you put a very scientific method here, 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 glugs into a jerry can, then you dump that gas into the generator or whatever else you're running it through, you're going to see all that gross carbon junk buildup that's been inside the jets and inside the carburetor, and it's going to burn that out and clean it out. I don't know how it works. I think it's voodoo or magic or something, but it literally works. It's a great stabilizer, and it's an even better fuel injection cleaner, that sort of thing. So have some of this on hand. It's not cheap. Buy it when it's on sale. Buy lots of it when it's on sale. I use this all the time. All right, here's a fun one. And you guys have probably seen a lot of these products before from me. If you're new to the channel, great, but I wanted to bring them all together. And if you haven't seen one of these before, this is called a jiggle siphon. And, well, I know it's kind of a funny name, but literally what it does is it acts as a siphon by jiggling it. So you put this copper end down in the jerry can end, and of course you do a highly funny looking type movement up and down like this 5 or 6 times, and you'll see it'll build. It'll get the fluid in there, and as long as this is higher than where you're outputting the fuel to, this is way better than the old-fashioned 80s, you know, cliche of sucking fuel out with a hose and spitting out a mouthful of fuel, because that's never a good day. This thing's like, I don't know, 10 bucks on Amazon. It's got a nice copper, well, what it is, it's hard to see here, but it's a copper valve with a glass ball inside, and as you shake it up and down, it sucks water up like if you're pulling it through a straw and then you put your thumb on the end of it, but then it keeps doing it, so it builds it higher and higher, and once it gets over that hump, it starts flowing. And you know, it's not as fast as, say, a battery powered pump or a drill powered pump, but in a pinch this is great to have. I'm going to pick up a couple more of these, and if you've never heard of a jiggle siphon, it's definitely worth grabbing one, hanging it out in your shop. I end up using this a lot more even in my day-to-day life, but it's really good for transferring fuel without spilling into the generator, because, well, you don't want to spill fuel onto a hot generator to begin with. But it always seems to be these 5-gallon jugs are heavy and the weather's bad and you just want an easy way to get it in there. And this is one of the ways to do it. Now, another must-have item on my list is standardized jerry cans. I don't care what brand. I know you guys in the States have a heck of a time because the government decided that they knew better than we did and decided to design some really new, incredible quality, notice the sarcasm, jerry cans. But for me, for my usage, for fuel storage, you want to have standardized jerry cans. In Canada, we have Wedco, however you pronounce it, and Scepter. Those are the 2 main ones. I prefer Scepter because I find the nozzles on them are a little bit better. But I don't care what brand you use. I just care that you keep all of them on hand the same, and you keep replacement parts for them, because, again, there's some, you know, You want to be set up so that if you lose a part, break a part wears out, you don't want to have to throw the whole thing away, and you want to have a system all the same. I've got a blue one, I've got a yellow one, and I got a bunch of red ones, but they all take the same parts. They have the same collar, the same plug, the same nozzle, the same rubber seal, which tends to be the thing that wears out the most in the summertime because it puts pressure on it and blows up. And I even bought a bunch of these on eBay or Amazon a while ago. So for a while there, they did away with the stupid back vent on these things. So I had to buy my own, put them in there, and they work really great. They go in really tight, but to me, an absolute must-have necessity of fuel storage is a standardized fuel can. I don't care which one it is, whatever one you like, buy all the same of that. So each time you go and you buy another one, if you want to get up to 12 of them to have on hand to cycle in and out, make sure you always get the same one. And if you're looking at old ones you want to save, make sure you know, if the fuel can's ruptured or wrecked, save the parts off it. Save the collar, save the plug, save the nozzle. If the rubber's in good shape, save that. Get extra rubbers, but a standardized jerry can is an absolute must-have. All right, here's another one. Spark plugs. And I know, you're like, well, that's not very sexy. No, it isn't, but if you've got a fouled spark plug, if you happen to put old gas in or whatever happens to be, and you get a real nasty fouled up spark plug, your generator is going to have a hell of a time starting, a hell of a time running, and you're just going to have an overall bad day. And I would venture to say that spark plugs are the cheapest insurance you can have on hand for any gas-powered motor out there. $2-3 for a spark plug. I normally go and buy a box of 10 of them because a lot of my old gas gear that I was running a lot for my landscaping business tended to take the same spark plug, or there was 2 different ones and I'd get them. But if you have a generator, buy yourself 3 or 4 or 5 spark plugs, because if you're running a lot of juice through your generator, say you got a 3 or 4 day power outage, you could foul up a spark plug or 2 and you could be having, again, a bad day. So super easy, simple insurance to have that'll cost you less than a cup of coffee a day. No, I'm just kidding. But you're literally, you know what, 4 spark plugs, $10, throw them on the shelf. You might not need them, but you know what? I change mine out every year, whether I need to change the oil or not. I do the oil at the same time, and then I just keep the old ones on hand as well. If they look clean and clear, I throw them in a box and forget about them. But if they're real nasty and gross, I'll throw them out. But you always have a spark plug on hand because you just never know if something's going to happen. Another one here, and this is definitely an item I haven't reviewed yet, so I'm going to show you guys about it. I'm sure lots of you have heard about it, but this is a little 0.75 amp trickle charger I got off of Amazon. Now I modified it. It had little roach clips or alligator clips. I took them off and I put hardwired screw ring terminals on them. This one here happens to be for my quad, but it works perfectly well for your generator. Now, if you've got an electric start generator, and a big heavy one like that is a pain, you want to practice keeping the pull start working, but you want to make sure that that damn thing starts. Now, here's something to let you know. When the power's out, you can't charge a battery, or at least, you know, you can't plug it in and charge it. So the best way to make sure that you don't need to charge a battery when the power's out is to make sure it's charged ahead of time. Now, I got a warning to tell you about this little trickle charger, okay? And it's something that I learned the hard way many times in the winter. And that is that this thing will only charge the battery, you ready for this, when it's plugged in. I know, it's mind-blowing, it's hard to believe. So this is what I would do. I would come back in, I would forget to plug this damn thing in, and then my quad would sit in the cold garage for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and all of a sudden I'd go to start it, and guess what? Stupid old dumb Tim never plugged them in. So plug this in. Have it, you know, clamped on to the electric start battery on your generator, because they're not real good. I got to look into that, but most of them don't even charge that battery, but you want to make sure it has a charge. And this will be red when it's charging and green when it's finished charging. You can leave that plugged in 24/7, 365, won't damage it at all. If the battery drops below a certain level, this will kick in and charge. Must have, not expensive at all. Good to have a couple of them because I've been known to step on them, run them over, cut the wires in half, things like that. But a good trickle charger will help make sure that you're able to electric start your generator just like that without having to pull start, because pull starting is miserable. You guys know how I feel about that. All right, now this is the only one that I don't have pictures of to show you right now because my generator's still a little new. And Tim, you're a slacker and you didn't pick any up yet, but that is oil and filters. Make sure you've got enough oil on hand to do 3 or 4 changes on your generator, because I think I was looking in the manual the other day, so if I'm wrong here, I'm sure somebody will, will point it out in the comments, but I believe the manual said after your first oil change, every 100 hours of runtime, you need to do one. But if you're running it straight, steady all the time, you might want to look at every, 2 full days. If you're running that full for 48 hours, I'd probably change the oil. But anyway, you want to make sure you got enough filters and oil on hand to do at least 3 or 4 oil changes because, again, something could happen. There could be a shortage on your filters. You might not be able to get the oil. Or worse than that, you might end up running into a bad situation where you got to run this thing for 2-3 weeks. Power's out everywhere and you can't find a filter or a generator or the oil for it. So make sure you get that stuff on hand because the best time to get all this shit is ahead of time. Because when you need oil and filters, when the power's out, so does everybody else. But if you buy it ahead of time and you're prepared, you're not fighting, you're not taking away from somebody else who wasn't prepared, and you're not fighting with the crowds to go get it, you've got all that on hand. You can sit back and say, oh, I can do an oil change if I absolutely need to. I'll probably run it a little longer than I should, but it's set up and ready to go. Now, the other one, the final one, is, well, a couple of things. It's a good cover for your generator. Now, mine came with this nice little, it's supposedly an all-weather cover. I'm sure it is. It's mainly designed to be used in the garage, which I don't use it, but it keeps dust and debris and dampness. Now, if you have to store it outside in, say, like a Rubbermaid storage tote, I would put that over top of it as well, just to keep any moisture and the best you can, insects and shit off that. But I had a guy recommend to me, I wish I could find the comment. If you go back through my old generator video, it's in there. And there is basically a stand-up all-weather cover that'll go over the generator. It'll keep snow and rain off your generator when it's running outdoors in nasty inclement weather. Because when's your generator running? Almost always when there's moisture coming from the sky, right? And these are expensive. You want to protect them, look after them. So a good dust cover for in the garage and a good all-weather setup. It's not permanent, but it kind of, it's a nice little one. I'll put a link to the description in the description below so you can see it. But a good all-weather cover of some sort to keep all the inclement weather off it is deadly important. I mean, these aren't cheap, right, guys? All right, so that's my top 10 list of items that I keep on hand, accessories that I have, must-haves for me that make my life with the generator just a little bit easier. I'm sure you're screaming at your iPad or your iPhone or your Android or your desktop, whatever right now. You're like, Tim, you forgot this or you forgot that or whatever. And I'm sure I did. This is just my top 10 of things I had around here that I keep on hand. And I'm sure there's a dozen other items I forgot. So if you guys want me to do a follow-up video to this, I'd love to have some community input. Throw it into the comments below. Let me know other things that you guys keep on hand to make your life with a generator just a little bit better. And if you got benefit from this video, as you guys always know, I love to hear from you about it. But more importantly, share this content on your social platform of choice. Let other people know about our incredible community we're building here. All the information that I love to share, but more importantly, all the information that you guys share with me and share with each other. To me, that is worth so much. And thank you guys. You know I love the support. We're heading toward 2,000 subscribers. We're going to get there faster than we ever imagined, and it is great. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, stick around, interact, get to know people, friend me on social media, interact over there. I love that as well. And as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.